This morning, the small-town Kentucky sheriff accused of killing a district judge, pleading not guilty to the deadly shooting that took place last week. Letcher County Sheriff Sean Stein faces one count of first-degree murder after he allegedly shot District Judge Kevin Mullen in his chambers after an argument. The 54-year-old judge was shot multiple times and was pronounced dead at the scene. Stein was arraigned virtually this morning. If convicted, he faces life in prison or the possibility of capital punishment. So joining me now, trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris. Misty, thank you for your time. First of all, just talk about the significance of a sheriff in court to face charges of murdering a judge.
Well, there's absolutely no question why this situation has rocked this small community. The sheriff, who had acted as a bailiff and had been very involved with that judge throughout his career, walking into the judge's chambers and shooting the judge. It is truly something incomprehensible. And that's why you see, Nichole, the harshest penalty under the law, first-degree murder with the possibility of capital punishment, because this factual scenario really boggles the mind.
You know, and Misty, even though there is plenty of speculation, police have not offered any details about a possible motive. The arrest citation doesn't list much. How much will a motive potentially influence what happens in this case?
Well, the motive is going to be key. So from a prosecutor's perspective, they don't need to prove a motive in order to prove a crime. It just helps a prosecutor let the jury understand why somebody may have done something. But in this case, Nichole, we don't have that whodunit question, right? We know who pulled that trigger. The question becomes why. And so the motive is actually much more relevant to the defense. I say that because I expect in this case to see a heat of passion argument raised by the defense. We know that he pled not guilty. The information that's available publicly indicates that the shooting happened after an argument. What does that mean? We don't know. But a heat of passion killing is a manslaughter charge, carries a penalty of 10 to 20 years. So I'm anticipating that this is the avenue the defense attorney will take. And whatever the precipice was for that argument will likely be central to the defense to show that there was something there that created the basis for a heat of passion.
So based on the little information that we do know, is this going to be an uphill battle for the defense and a slam dunk for the prosecutors? I mean, he went into custody, or he was taken into custody willingly, and again, we don't really know what the motive is.
Right. And I think that's going to be the central component of it. And it's not going to be a question of was a crime committed. It seems pretty clear that it was. But is it first-degree murder, or is it a lesser category of murder? We know that everything is under the veil of a civil lawsuit that's actually happening simultaneously involving that judge's chambers, not the judge himself, but the judge's chambers, and involving Stein, who had been accused civilly of turning a blind eye to sexual abuse by people in his department, by his deputies specifically. So that's a civil case that's not related to the criminal case, but it would be, I think it's likely that there might be some overlap there as to what was going on, and perhaps answer that question of the why in this particular instance. And I don't want to speculate on that. I only say that because Stein was deposed not long before this happened. He's entered a not guilty plea, and to the extent that he can raise that argument that he was in the heat of passion, which, by the way, Nichole, not necessarily an easy argument to make, because if there was any form of premeditation, it loses. There's something called the cool-off period, and you have to show that there was no reasonable time to cool off in between whatever creates the heat of passion and the ultimate shooting. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but it's a bit too early to speculate. I'm hoping that we learn more at the upcoming preliminary hearing.
Yeah, hopefully we will. This certainly is one that has a lot of people paying attention. All right, trial attorney, legal analyst Misty Marris, thank you.
Thanks, Nichole.